And here we are into our third game at the Beachhead competition, and these pike guys, having won or contributed significantly to the victory in the second game, are looking forward confidently to another classic battle involving elephants, camels, or possibly war wagons as well. And what's it going to be this time around? Well, it's actually another pike army. This is the army of Pyrrhus. Will it be a Pyrrhic victory or a Pyrrhic defeat? Who knows? But what have we got here then in the setup? You've got a tremendous piece of a Greek baggage there. That's quite an imposing thing. Probably the head lopped off the Colossus of Rhodes or something like that. And an army that is broadly similar to the one that I've got. It looks like it's got a couple less sort of Thracian and support troops, and it's got more pikemen. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pikemen there, 2 elephants, the usual couple of cavalry on one side. I'm not sure they're particularly competent cavalry. We'll find out in a minute. A few more light foot as well, maybe actually just a couple more. So very, very similar army, very, very solid way of looking at itself. And let's have a look at that list. So there you go. You can see they've gone for the strategist as well. Richard's gone for the strategist to get the jump on deployment, or perhaps get the jump on the first move. 4 pikemen and a swordsman. Then you've got a couple of the Tarentine poor pikemen roaming around Italy, not quite as good as proper Hellenistic pikemen. Elephant, medium spear elite, and medium foot swordsman impact elite. I guess these are some sort of non-Roman Italiote type troops who joined up with Pyrrhus to try and oppose Rome. And again, another very similar command there. 2 Tarentine pike again, another elephant, the spear elite, and the swordsman impact, and competent commander just in a heavy cavalry. So there's none of the really good quality impact cavalry that I've got in my version of this sort of Hellenistic successor-esque sort of army. So what happens here with a lovely game view of Bournemouth just in the background, and my army just rolls forward in a nice big solid line, looking as colourful as possible, elephants and everything. Unsurprisingly, the Thracians going through the fields, the rough terrain. There's not really much going on terrain-wise here. My army, as usual, just sort of extends out and runs out of steam because I've only got one blob of cavalry in it, and the line of pikemen are just waiting to receive. It's going to be a pike and elephant battle by the looks of it. And looking at this must be the far end. This must be the Bournemouth side of it over here. I suspect. Let's have a look. Yeah, that is the end of that line. So this is a possibility. This is an opportunity with my flank sort of hanging on the right. This is a chance to really push forward and make something happen on the left. So what you've got here is you've got Xystophoria against Xystophoria. They may actually be Xystophoria. I might just have written them down wrong. You've got generals against generals. I've got an overlap there. They've got an overlap for the pike. I don't want to hurl my extra guys into the pikemen because that's certain death. And this is just really a chance. Actually, this may be my general possibly has given me an advantage here to see whether I can just get round the flank, push these guys back. Actually, this is a while ago. I reckon this might be my Xystophoria who go in with the +1 against a general to make that an interesting evens fight. And win this, the whole thing opens up. Lose it, not too bad. They've only got 1 unit here to take advantage of it. I'd still have the light horse. I'd still have this second one. So I thought this is a punt worth starting, the punt worth going. And yeah, what's happening here? My commander's in combat. He's taken a hit. Bosch, commander's in combat there. The fight is still pretty bitter and pretty risky, but I've come off worse, which is rather irritating. But that's not going to stop that distance over there. In fact, it may actually have stopped. That might just be the light horse left, which is terrible. But you've got all the pikemen going in, the elephants going in against pikemen. This is just as textbook a simple battle as you could want. 2 Hellenistic armies, very, very similar, lining up, crunching into each other in a riot of colour and pikes and spiky bits. It will be the push and shove. Let's see what's going to happen. And what has happened there, looking traumatically, is these cavalry have actually won. They killed off my probably killed off my general here of this tiny little command. That's allowed the pikemen to step forward. The cavalry have come forward as well to create an overlap. This guy is now in a load of trouble. Pikeman and an overlap is +3. He will be at best +1 for the impact. This light horse looks like it's picked up an injury somewhere along the line from trying to beat up light infantry javelinmen who appear to be beating it as well. It's just sort of catastrophic really what's happened here. From a trying to take advantage of a very small advantage that could have paid off big. It's not paid off big at all. It's paid off to my opponent. And look at this. Can we split? Can I spin this one round? Well, let's have a look at this one. That's not one of the options, is it really? That's just a shame, unless I edit it. But, you know, if you tilt your head to one side, you can see what's happening here. The pikes have gone in pretty solidly. The line has got a little bit ragged, where people have either pushed forward or not to try and create some overlaps. That gives an elephant an overlap against my pike here, but I've got to overlap back. My elite pike are not yet in combat. There's combat here. There's a bit of a gap in the middle, but everybody's really fighting. This is just a solid line, and I think looks like the initial phases may have gone well. That looks like a red marker. That looks like a green marker. That looks like a yellow marker. There's a 2-hit marker there, but I'm not seeing too many other markers here. So that's not a bad first outing, really, for the first round of combat there in this central pike on pike, elephant on elephant fest. And over here looks bosh. That clearly was one of my elephants. That's next to the elite pike with another bluey elephant there. So actually, maybe that was the Thracians, in fact. Maybe that was the Thracians going in or holding up in the middle. So I had 1, 2, 3 pike there. So looks like somebody has blown a pretty big hole. Yes, these have picked up an injury. These wouldn't have just been lurking there on their own. My elephant's gone forward, but the end of my line has now lost the 2 medium foot, who, being 2-handed swordsmen, should have been pretty decent against pike, but aren't. There's loads more light infantry than me. That's a bit problematic. I'm starting to pick up shield markers here, and the combat suddenly is swinging the other way. You can see there's a 1 hit, that's a 2, that's a 2. I think there's a 2 in there, that's a 1. This elephant's struggling though, which is a bit tricky. My javelinman can't really take on elite spearmen or elites. Those must be the elite impact foot, elite spearmen. That's a bit tricky. And it looks like the explosion of markers behind these guys is slightly stalled. So the tables are turning. The grind from the Pyrrhic army is slowly starting to overwhelm the Lysimachids here in this real bitter struggle. And that, unfortunately, was that was the end of it. That just a line of troops fighting each other in the middle, very evenly matched. But once the tide starts to turn, it really does turn fast. And then that led to the collapse of the Lysimachid army in fairly short order, unfortunately. And what's going to be next? Well, it's Indians. I'm fighting an Indian army in the next battle, so stay tuned to see how that pans out.